The Wiggles was one of my favorite TV shows as a kid growing up. The show is about farmers from Australia singing songs to kids. However, things had changed in the show. In 2007, Greg was removed from the show because he had a bald spot like Steve from Blue's Clues. He was replaced with a guy named Sam. In 2010, Greg came back, but in 2012, after things got out of hand, Murray and Jeff were fired from the series and Greg left again. And Greg, Murray, and Jeff were replaced with Emma, Simon, and Lockie. I stopped watching the show due to all of this. I'm from Australia, and I used to work at the Australia Broadcasting Corporation. I've been working closely for the Wiggles. One of the ladders is the showrunner, creator, writer, and dictator behind the Wiggles. I was hired by Stephen O'Donnell in the company to write story ideas for an episode I honestly thought I'd even seen the show. It was more of an awkward experience. I quit working for the Australian Broadcasting Corporation because it was rough. I didn't want to work for the new Wiggles because they have gone out of hand. I moved out of Australia and moved into the United States. I was on my computer while listening to Feel Good Incorporated by the Gorillaz, but someone I didn't know brought me a box. I opened the box, and the box had a disc inside. The cover page was just words saying, "The Wiggles, shh, the Siphon." I was confused. The Wiggles hasn't had an episode like that because it was on its P1 word of all 2002 episodes of The Wiggles. I was curious to know what the episode could be. I opened the disc and started playing it. To play it. It was rather interesting. It had a word that reminded me of the ones from the earlier that were randomized, but it had 11 after it. It reminded me of Greg, the same ball from the show I just talked about earlier. I clicked on the link and saw this discussion as the entry. This description said the following. This is a lost episode, The Wiggles, which is titled as The Siphon. It was meant to be a finale of the 2002 Wiggles, but Scatter's production was done. The creator of the show will be planning another season 3 finale at the moment. However, this replacement is reasonable. The episode is lost for being too disturbing and dark for the series. If you are a fan of The Wiggles, let's tell you that this is no joke. Your discretion is advised. I was pretty confused at this point because there were no title cards in the year 2002 of The Wiggles. After 2 seconds, the entire screen went black. This went on for about 10 seconds before the episode began. It started with Jeff on the couch. He was pretty ecstatic. As you can tell by the facial expression, Greg can tell the viewers that Jeff's watching one of his favorite shows. Just then, a prop spider fell onto Greg's forehead. Anthony, the dumbest eater, with no hesitation, took a sledgehammer and smashed the TV into bits. Parts of the television started to fly everywhere. Greg, obviously infuriated, he then goes to Anthony to let him have it. Then Murray, the other member of the Wiggles, pulls Greg back. Murray suddenly whispers something to Greg. "Listen here, brother. Dorothy's coming over. I want you to have sex with her so I can make a sex tape." Now, why the fuck would they say that in a kid's show? After the scene was shown, news to me as Captain Feathersword, but he had red eyes. The pirate ship, where Captain Feathersword was doing a pretend battle, the frames of the animation skipped every 4 seconds, but the sound remained synced. After an unruly performance of his pretend battle, pirates seeing the crowd clapping for Captain Feathersword, very common for them. The scene then hands to Captain Feathersword's play. All people were standing in the play. They were booing at Captain Feathersword. He walked back to his ship with his hands at his eyes. What's odd is that the scene actually shows him walking to his ship, with nothing happening in the background, for 3 minutes and 50 seconds before abruptly cutting to red for another 20 seconds. He arrives at his house. The next scene starts slightly differently. The Wiggles are seen getting in the big red car. Anthony is seen holding a book titled "Smoking Causes Lung Cancer." Indeed, the scene looks a little different. The show used computer-generated stills to generate backdrops, but these stills were grainier and lower quality. All of them are seen swearing. Greg was seen saying, "Yo, what up, motherfuckers?" Murray says, "Eat a dick, pussy." Anthony says, "Shh." He says, "Faggots." And Jeff said, "Yo, bullshit, nasty." And then showed a picture of Murray during his fellow Ducks performance. There were captions on the screen saying, but none of the fellow Ducks came back. The problem was, it wasn't a picture. It was a clip. My mind was bullshit. After the full clip was shown, things went out of hand. The screen entered the static and finally exited. Jeff was wearing a black hoodie, black baggy jeans, and black combat boots. And it was strange to see Jeff dressed that way. Even though his hood was up, I could tell it was him. but I could also tell that something was wrong. An eerie chill crawled up my spine, and I was about to turn it off when I heard a blood-curdling, fear-filled, high-pitched scream blast through the stereo speakers. The pitch and the volume of it pounded in my ears. It hurt so much that I had to cover them. I thought that they might kill my hearing. It went on for what felt like hours. Finally, some faint text came onto the screen. After a few seconds, the text disappeared and its static began to quickly flicker. What was worse was that the static noise was even louder than it was before. It was literally hurting my ears. I was back to check the DVD when it showed a still image of Greg and Murray sitting in Dorothy's garden, like it was on the DVD. There was white noise in the background, which made it creepy because they weren't doing anything. Usually there would be happy or cartoonish music playing in the background, but instead there was just white noise. After about 30 seconds later, the noise slowly becomes louder, and then the screen fully fills with static. While static was covering the screen, a pair of red eyes could be seen in the background. And once the static covers the screen, it stays back for a few seconds. A concert starting to wiggle started to go bad. The wheels started laughing, and they flew to the moon. The children were crying in the background, and suddenly there were displayed shots of the other wiggles with bloodshot eyes, laughing along with Henry. As the crying became louder, Henry the octopus started to decompose to nothing but bones. I felt so nauseated. The worst part of the children crying was also a mix of chainsaws, gunshots, and glass smashing. Anthony walks to the kitchen. Outside there was a pine cone with a gun in it. I later found out her name was Sawyer J. Pinecone. She was going to try to kill Anthony. Episode cuts to Wags the dog. He was ordering something off the menu from a barbecue restaurant. A boy wouldn't let him barbecue chicken at all. The employee whispers under his breath, "There's a pinecone near my house that wants to kill you." Wags got really pissed and stabbed the employee by the head. There were sounds of great little screaming and splashing still present. This time there were just colored blurs moving around a black background, making real unsounding noises. It played like this until I got to the end. However, this time it cut straight to the coming up next screen for ABC Kids in Australia, which simply said, "Up next, it's Bananas in Pajamas," before it kind of sounded a bit static.